Oh. I didn't plug in my music. Shame on it. Oh well. I had a little bit of a technical issue here. Okay, well let's try that again. Now, there we go. All right. Enough of that madness here. Sorry about that, folks. I've just been messing with some software here and plugging things in and unplugging that. And anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's a Monday. It is the 12th of May, 2025, and as always, I have nothing but contempt for the mainstream media for lying and manipulating and you guys lie. You just lie, and guess what? All right, welcome to the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. And I've been scrambling. There's just so much going on across the country and around the world. And as I start every show, I don't even know where to start. But before I do, I want to humbly and respectfully request that you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and do some business with our advertisers. That's how we keep the lights on here. Anyway, that said, I'm going to start off the show. I'm not going to carry some news broadcasts. What I'm going to do is, for those of you who are listening online, and I know there's an awful lot of you out there, I'm going to give you this website. If you haven't checked this out, this is definitely, absolutely, irrefutably, and undeniably worth your attention. It is the website Ingersolllockwood.com, and That's Ingersoll, INGERSOLLOCKWOOD.com. Ingersolllockwood.com. That's got 3 L's in there. You can't have 2. You got to have 3. All right. Why am I drawing this to your attention? I brought this up a couple of months ago, and I think it bears repeating. And when you go to this website, well, first of all, who the heck is Ingersoll-Lockwood? Ingersoll-Lockwood was a novelist. He lived in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and he wrote several novels, and they're all on this website. And they're very interesting because one of the main characters in several of his novels is an individual by the name of Baron Trump. Yeah, Baron Trump. And I should also mention that Ingersoll-Lockwood, he was friends with Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla, I'm sure you all are well aware that he was talking about all this technology that it's been suppressed for the past century, more than a century now, and some of the things that he was experimenting with was time travel. Okay, so. That said, and I know that's a little bit, that's like, oh gosh, Dave, that's sci-fi. That's, it is. It is. It's fantasy. It's fiction. Yeah, okay, I get it. All right. However, Ingersoll-Lockwood, like I said, as a novelist, lived over a century ago, and when you go to this website, it says right on the front page, the U.S. Space Force is hiring. Interesting. What does Ingersoll-Lockwood have to do with the U.S. Space Force? And why is this website hiring people to join the Space Force? And by the way, you can join any branch of the military by going here. Yeah, they got a page where you can sign up. You put your name and your vital information, et cetera, and you can get involved in serving in the military. Now, ask yourself this question right off the bat. Why would a website that is portraying itself as a recruitment center for the United States military, why would this website even exist if it's a bogus website? How could they be allowed to gather information if this is a bogus website? The government would take it down in a New York minute, and you know it. So now I have to ask the question, whoa, wait a second here. Why is this website, Ingersolllockwood.com, involved with the U.S. Space Force and the United States military? Why is this website, why does this even exist? Why is it there? Well, let's do some exploration here, and I'm going to walk you through this. If you haven't done this, this is really interesting stuff, folks. And I have to tell you that when this website loads, you'll see as you scroll down, there's some video there that you can watch. Funding American Exceptionalism. We're building a brighter future for America. And so anyway, okay, you scroll beyond the video, and then you get into the text. All right. Now, this is really important. You got to check this out. If you haven't done this, you got to check this out. Okay. When you get into the text, the first line, it says, all products and services we invest in and support are made in America with pride. Now, when you scroll, you have to scroll your cursor over every word, every comma, every period, and every empty space. There are links that will take you to websites that are very interesting. In that first line, let me see. The first one says Made in America. Now, when you click, it's underlined, it turns into a little hyperlink. So when you click on America, it brings you to a Wikipedia page that says DEFCON, the Defense Readiness Condition. That's DEFCON. And it explains what DEFCON is. It's an alert state used by the United States Armed Forces for security reasons. The U.S. military does not announce a DEFCON level to the public. Anyway, so you can scroll through the Wikipedia definition of DEFCON. Now you have to ask the question, why would they have a link to DEFCON? All right, I'll leave that to you to answer that question. So when you scroll across again, the word America, it turns into a hyperlink, and then it says with pride, and the period, it says with pride. There's a period right there. Okay, let's click on the period. Let's see what that shows us. It brings us to a video that was taken inside the Oval Office. And there's a portrait of Trump, and they just, a little pan shot of the Oval Office. Well, why would they put that there? Interesting. You go to the next line. It says, we support and may match funds on IQT, SBA, SBIR, DARPA, DHS, NASA. Every single one of them is a hyperlink to those websites, the NSA, Space Force. And then you get to the word, to the etc. ETC period. Now, when you move your cursor carefully, very carefully over the first part of the ETC, the ET turns into a hyperlink. So let's click on that one. Okay, when you click on that, okay, guess what? That's been changed. They took it down. See, the thing is that they change these websites or these hyperlinks frequently. Now, I don't know why, but for some reason, that one is not being found right now. All right, let's see. The ET, then you go to the letter C. Let's see, the letter C. And what does that do? Okay, that takes us to a website. This is the aaro.mil website, military, all domain anomaly resolution office. And they're talking about the extraterrestrials. They're talking about unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs, otherwise known as UFOs. Why would they have a link to a website, a .mil website, having to do with UFOs or UAPs? What are they trying to tell us? Okay, so, and that's ET, and for some reason that website is not there. I don't know. It was taking us to a website that had to do the back engineering of downed extraterrestrial craft the last time I checked, but for some reason we're getting a 404 error on that. Okay, so the ET, then the letter C, and then there's the period. You click on the period. And again, you have to move your cursor very carefully. Oh, look at this one. This comes to a website that says German disc aircrafts from 1922 to 1945 and beyond. And let me see the menu here. Here's declassified CIA documents suggesting that the Nazis successfully built UFOs. Again, this is a website, Ingersolllockwood.com, and they are having all these hyperlinks to issues having to do with UFOs or UAPs. And as you scroll down, there's one link after another. Here's another one. It says, Disc Aircraft of the Third Reich, Introduction. And then there's the German secret technology. Could there have been a link to some early UFO reports? I mean, there's one after another, after another, after another, after another. I mean, so many hyperlinks here having to do with the back engineering of UFOs. Now, I'm not making this stuff up, folks. You need to go and check this out yourself. Okay? This is some interesting stuff. And like I say, they've got all these hidden links, and one after another brings you to some very interesting information. Now, let me see. That's the ET and the C. Now, when it says on a case-by-case basis, there's the letter C in the first word, case. And when you click on that, it'll open up Google Earth. Now, I clicked on that, and then I perused around, and every time I go back, it takes me back to the last place that I went. So I don't know where it's going to take you, but it might take you to something very interesting. The first time I clicked on it, Google Earth took me to Antarctica, and there was a big hole with looked like a dome cover that was open. Now, I don't know what it's going to show for you, but you might check it out. So on a case-by-case basis, all right? So those are just the first two lines. Now, you can go through this, every single line, like I said, every single line, well, not every single line, but almost every line has a hidden hyperlink. Okay, there's one line here. It says all criminal hacking activities will be prosecuted, period. Oh, and the period turned into a hyperlink. Let me see where that one takes me. Okay, let's see. This is, oh my goodness, look at this. Cases filed and sealed. We're talking about indictments. We're talking about sealed indictments. And let's see, it goes through a whole list of them. There are hundreds of them. Look at these sealed indictments. Oh, many of them are, let me see, in the District of California, District of Illinois. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There are hundreds of them. District of Alaska. All of these are sealed indictments. Why? Why do they have all these sealed indictments here? I'll leave it to you to figure that out. Okay? All right, so that's the period where it says will be prosecuted. Interesting that they would have that period right after the word prosecuted. Now the next line says we have not launched any NFTs or crypto tokens, and I don't appear to have any hyperlinks there. And then the next line says Ingersolllockwood is a registered trademark of Ingersolllockwood Incorporated. And the Incorporated has a period. Let me see where that goes. Okay, flying the flag of the United States at full staff on Inauguration Day. Okay, that's a new link. And like I said, when you go to this website, you have to go to it periodically. Go there like once a week because they change the hyperlinks. Sometimes, I mean, one time about a year ago, I clicked on one of these links and it took me to YouTube. And it was a video clip from the movie Mary Poppins. Yeah, what the heck was that all about? And what video clip was it? Well, the two little kids went to the bank and they wanted to get their money out. And the bank teller said, oh, you're too young. I can't give you the money. And so the kids say, oh, the bank won't give me my money. And then all the people, all the grown-ups all standing around, oh, my goodness, the bank won't give us our money. I want to get my money. And it created a bank run. Ooh, I wonder why. And again, there are some clues. These are dropping clues. Now, what the clues are, excuse me, I don't know. But anyway, the bottom line here is that you really need to check out Ingersolllockwood.com. Not only that, but, and I could go over, you can go over line by line, and again, very carefully, move your cursor over every word, every line, every number, every punctuation mark. You're going to see that there are some very interesting links. And again, if this is a bogus website, don't you think that the government would take it down, especially if they're gathering information from the people who go to this website, who want to sign up and serve in the United States military, whether it be the Army or the Space Force or the Navy or whatever. It is a recruitment website. So this is really interesting. Anyway, not to belabor a point, but as you scroll down through the text and you get down to the bottom after you've gone through and checked out all these different hyperlinks and hidden, punctuation marks, etc., at the very bottom, there's a little white rabbit. And I'm looking at this white rabbit, and when you click on it, let's see what comes up. Well, it's a website from the White House. It says lab leak. And it's the proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2, the publication. Wow. Why are they putting information there about COVID? The Wuhan Institute of Virology researchers were sick with COVID-like symptoms in the fall of 2019, months before COVID-19 was discovered at the wet market. Interesting. So, okay, that's where the little white rabbit is in the bottom. However, guess what? If you move your cursor above the white rabbit into apparently a blank space, there's another hyperlink there. Let me see where that takes me. Again, this is these are, you wouldn't even notice it. You got to move your cursor very carefully. Well, where this took me to welcome to the Shroud of Turin website. Wow. The Shroud of Turin. For those of you who don't know what the Shroud of Turin is, do some research. Anyway, okay, so that's a link that's hidden above the white rabbit. Now, let me see. I'll go below the white rabbit, and, there's another website. What does this one take me to? digitallibrary.un.org. And what is this? This is the United Nations Digital Library. And it's a document entitled Replacement Migration. Is it a solution to declining and aging populations? Why would they put this here? And you know what? People are noticing all over the world that for whatever reason, European countries, they have fallen below the replacement numbers for their continuing the population. All right? In other words, white Europeans are not having children as often. Same thing here in the United States. The white couples are not having as many children as they used to. And we know that the black population is not having as many children either. As a matter of fact, the blacks, what is it, over half of the pregnancies are ending in abortions. So what's going to happen with the Caucasian and the black population is going down. Meanwhile, Middle Eastern countries, Islamic countries, they're popping out babies like crazy. So what's going to be the long-term effect in Europe, for example? What's going to happen to Europe in the next, say, 25 years? This is all interesting stuff, folks. I'm going to leave it to you. I'm not, trying to be racist. Don't even go there. No. That's not it. Anyway, so I'm highly suggesting that you go to Ingersolllockwood. I could be carrying some of the news stories, and there's a lot of them, but I wanted to draw this to your attention because there is so much information at this website, and they're continually updating it. Now, one more thing before I move on to a different topic is when you go to the website, Ingersolllockwood.com, check out the library. What is their reading material? So you click on the library. Let's open that up here. Come on. Let's go. Oh, what's that noise there? Let me see. It's not opening for me. I wonder why. Okay, I'll try once again. A library. Okay, it's not opening. Oh, that's it. Okay, wait, it's loading. Oh, maybe there's something wrong with the internet here. Could be. We've been having internet problems here. Anyway, it's not loading. It's taking its sweet time. I wonder how that's affecting my connection here with the network. Anyway, let's see here. It's just not going to load today. All right, but if you do get that library to load, take a good look. It's got all of the different writings by Ingersoll-Lockwood, and then it also has suggested reading. And you know what the suggested reading is? The Book of Enoch. That's interesting. Anyway, okay, enough on the Ingersolllockwood website. This is something, like I said, I thought it was worthy of your attention, which is why I'm sharing it with you. All right, now, in the meantime, I tell you what, I'm going to open up the phone lines. I'd be curious to know if there's anybody out there listening live that's been following along with the bouncing ball and checking out this website. Or even if you're not, you've got something that you want to talk about, you're welcome to join me. The phone number here is 215-867-8255. In the meantime,
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
and you can get more tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. I've been using Get More Tank now for almost a year, and I got to tell you, the stuff works like a charm. I started using it. The first thing I noticed is that when I hit my gas pedal, my car just took off. I almost felt G-forces when I hit the gas. And then shortly after that, I found that my mileage had increased. Depending upon what kind of vehicle that you're driving and what your driving habits are, you're going to notice an increase in mileage between 15 and 20%, which means you make a purchase of Get More Tank, and it'll cost you $20 if you use the promo code REDPILL101. You're going to save 10%. So for $20, you get 5 tablets. Now, each tablet is for a tank of gas. And what this boils down to is that after 5 tanks of gas, it works out. If you're getting 20% better mileage, that 5th tank is free. Do the math. How much is a tank of gas versus $20 for Get More Tank? Your car runs better. It runs cleaner. It's good for the environment. You get better mileage. It's a no-lose situation. It's win-win for everybody. Anyway, that said, Get More Tank. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and Get More Tank. Okay, that said, I've been walking down memory lane. For those of you who know my background, you know I've been at this for a lot of years. I'm an old school, patriotic balladeer. I've been a musician and vocalist all my life, and some years ago, several decades ago, I started paying attention to what was going on with world affairs and economics and all that stuff. And my philosophy is, when you become aware of a lie and you do nothing to expose the lie, you become part of the lie. And I won't live the lie. I have to stand in the light. And that's just my philosophy. So that's why I started screaming from the rooftops with everything I had, with my music, spoken word, and documentaries. And yeah, it was frustrating. It was very frustrating because the message was falling on deaf ears, just like it's falling on deaf ears today. And like I said, I've said many times, there's no joy in I told you so for either party. And speaking of, back in, 2007? Yeah, 2007. Yeah, 18 years ago, I produced a documentary film called One Nation Under Siege. And in that documentary, I was hitting on a bunch of different points. And this is one point that, this is 18 years ago, folks. And I'm just going to play an audio clip from the documentary. You can find it on YouTube. It's called One Nation Under Siege. And it's a lot of very important individuals who were involved in this production. But in that, I was basically talking about, I'll tell you what. I'm just going to play the clip. You put the puzzle pieces together. Here it is.
We know that we've got these terrible terrorists all over the world that want to do us harm. And we know that there's the threat of chemical and biological attack. In the event that there was a biological attack, or maybe an outbreak of a virus.
What?
Or a flu.
What?
And the powers that be had a plan for mandatory vaccinations for everybody.
What?
Undoubtedly, there would be a lot of people, myself included, that would refuse to take a mandatory vaccine. Is it possible that they've anticipated this and are going to want to round up all the people that refuse to comply and hold them in detention centers for their own good? Is it possible that this whole plan has been in place for decades?
Is it possible? Well, we don't know. Or do we know? Anyway, I just thought I'd share that because there are so many times, that yours truly was singing about this, talking about that, and oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Oh, gosh, you hate your country. Oh, yeah, right, okay. You're an anti-Semite. Yeah, right. You're a racist. Yeah. Homophobe. Yeah. Islamophobe. Yeah. Right-wing extremist. Yeah. Left-wing extremist. Yeah. Go on. Yeah, like I said, when I started getting involved with this during the Clinton administration, actually, no, it was under the George Bush Sr. Administration. Remember the first Gulf War? I was screaming about that. But no. But anyway, okay, once again, the phone number here, if you've got something that you want to add to the program, I'd love to hear from you. 215-867-8255. Again, 215-867-8255. 8255. And I'd especially like to hear from anybody who has explored the Ingersolllockwood website. Have you taken a look at that? I would highly suggest that you do, because it's got tons and tons of information there. In the meantime, let's see, where else we got? I got all kinds of stuff here I was going to talk about. Let's see. Oh, yeah. There is a great awakening going on right now. And again, I am not a racist. There are people out there that would say, yeah, you're a racist. But the thing is that there's something called reverse racism that's going on now. And there are a lot of African-American individuals who are seeing this. And it's called black fatigue. And anyway, there was a guy named Tyree Nichols who was beaten to death. He was a black man. He was beaten to death by 3 police officers. All 3 of them were black. Okay, so we've got 3 black police officers who beat to death a guy named Tyree Nichols. Now, there's a guy here, let me see, I think his name is, Jeffrey Mead. I'm following him on X. But he just posted this. Now, again, this is not about racism. Don't even go there. All right? So this is Jeffrey Mead, a black man, discussing the 3 black police officers who beat to death a black guy by the name of Tyree Nichols. Here it is.
So let me get this straight. These guys essentially beat Tyree Nichols to death. I'm literally right now watching them. 1 cop is standing him up, or 2 cops are standing him up, and the other is socking him in the head. I've seen one of these cops kick him in the head. They were using like a nightstick on him. I mean, he died from blunt force trauma to the head, and we just watched these guys quite literally beat him in the head. And they've been acquitted of all state charges.
Yep.
I don't see BLM marching in the streets.
I don't see them either.
I don't see Democratic politicians outraged by it or even talking about it.
Nope.
And I don't see black Americans out in the streets marching, saying the system's messed up, saying this is wrong. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm going to stop it right there. The silence is deafening. And why do you suppose that is?
Should say minimal. I've seen some people complain about it. They were just acquitted of all state charges, and it's virtually silent. Many black Americans in this country are so hypocritical, and they're ideologically inconsistent. Now, let this have been 3 or 4 white cops. People would be in the streets marching, politicians would be talking about it, it would be all over the news.
True
but
that.
Since it doesn't fit the narrative, we're just going to sweep it under the rug. And this is what's embarrassing for many of the black people who would be out in the streets marching if these were all white cops. You're ideologically inconsistent and you're hypocritical. You don't really care about black lives, and you don't really care about right or wrong. Because if you truly did, you would have the same energy about this as you would if it was a bunch of white cops. Here's another one of the reasons why I think you're not seeing outrage amongst the black community. Because remember, I've said many black Americans have this unrelenting loyalty to being black. So since they have this unrelenting loyalty to being black, and for many of them that guides which direction they go, they don't know which direction to go. Because all the cops are black and the victim's black. So who do they side with? Because remember, it's not about right or wrong in many of these cases. It's about aligning with your skin color. So since there isn't a skin color to align with because everyone is the same color, they basically stay silent. And this is why I say having an unrelenting loyalty to being black is an absolute problem. Because it blinds you from seeing right or wrong, and it stops you from actually calling that out. Like, these cops literally beat him to death. And it's silence when they were all acquitted of state charges. It's crazy. You can't take these people serious. The people out in the street marching about police brutality primarily only do it when a white cop does something to a black person. This seems like a textbook case of police brutality, and they're not out in the streets marching. And again, it's likely because all of them have this skin color.
Yeah. This is just amazing, isn't it? It's called reverse racism. Now, again, don't even accuse me of racism. That's not why I'm drawing this to your attention. What I am drawing to your attention is the simple fact that we have hypocrisy on a level that is just unbelievable. Now, there's another big black guy that has posted, and again, these posts are coming out like crazy on social media because there are, moral black people out there that see what's going on with their culture, and they're disgusted with it. Now, there might be an expletive in this one. I'm not quite sure. I went through and there might be an F-bomb in here. Let me see if this is it. But let me see. This is, who is this gentleman here? I don't have his name. But again, we're talking about a black guy that is talking about the black culture, and you guys that are in the black culture got to get your act together because you're destroying yourselves. Anyway, here he is.
Black fatigue is a thing. Newsflash. White people don't want to live around ratchet black people. And black people don't want to live around ratchet black people. I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning and then you see the bonnet crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended. And that's anywhere you go, no matter what. They're highly emotional, highly sensitive. You can't say nothing. You can't even smile and hold the door for them because they'll look at you like you're crazy. And always the victim of something. Either you stepped on a shoe, you looked at them wrong, you told them good morning. They're never happy, they're never satisfied. And you wonder why normal, good black people move out of the hood as soon as they start getting successful. I was one of those black people that said, man, if I made some money, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna buy up this, buy up that. I'm gonna support the community. As soon as I got my money, I got the fuck up out of there.
Oh.
Because they don't know how to appreciate good shit. And my suburban kids don't need to be dealing with that bullshit.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there because there are a couple of expletives there, but you're getting the general idea. Now, the thing is, though, is that there has been a condemnation of whites left and right. I mean, everywhere you turn, there is white racism. And I got to ask the question, wait a second, how come there's no racism on basketball teams? Answer me that. How come there's no racism on football teams? They all seem to be getting along just fine. As long as you're on the baseball. In baseball, I mean, my gosh, you've got whites, you've got blacks, you've got Hispanics, you've got Orientals. Hey, there's no such thing in racism. Why? Because they're working towards a common goal. Yeah, they're working towards it because they want to win the game. Well, how is it that we can't do that in our world? How come? I don't get it. There's no racism in pro sports, but there sure as heck is racism in our country. We got to get over that because we are being played. We're being played one against the other. Now, when I was a kid, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. My best friend lived up on the 6th floor. I was on the 2nd floor. Jamie was Jewish. Okay, Jamie and I, we celebrated Christmas and Hanukkah together. And then down the street was a black kid by the name, well, we always called him Junior or JJ. And the three of us were thick as thieves. Well, what do you know? You got a Christian, a Jew, and a black kid, and we all got along just fine. We loved each other. We hung out for years. So it's not about racism. It's not about anti-Semitism. It's not about that. It's about working together for a common goal. And for some reason, we can't seem to get that through our heads. Let me see. There's another one here. Again, this is called black fatigue. And a lot of the people, the respectful, moral black people in the black communities are speaking out and saying, look at what the heck is wrong with us? Why is it that we're destroying our own communities? Why is it that we're killing each other? Black on black violence is just, it's like out of control. So why is that? Don't know. But they sure as heck want to pit the blacks against the whites. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. And there was another website. I can't seem to pull it up here. I don't know where it is. But they're a headline, one after another, talking about committing genocide against the whites. Kill all the white people. You know, white people are the bane of humanity. Why is this? Why is it that, all of these headlines coming out, just fueling the fire of racism? Well, maybe it has to do with that old saying, divided we fall, right? Anyway, that said, okay, I'm going to just switch gears a little bit here again. Up in Alberta, people in Alberta are really coming unhooked up there. As a matter of fact, this past weekend, I was out at the VFW, and I was hanging out with some friends of mine. We were shooting a game of pool, and there was a group of Canadians that came in, and we struck up a conversation, and they were from Alberta. And, of course, Alberta's been in the news. A lot of people are seeing that Alberta and Saskatchewan are really ticked off at Ottawa. They're disgusted with the Canadian Parliament and what's going on in Canada, and there's actually discussion about them wanting to go independent. Now, we know that Trump has been talking about making Canada the 51st state. Well, maybe not all of Canada, but maybe one of the provinces like Alberta or Saskatchewan. Well, maybe they've got a good argument because, I was talking with them, say, we don't want to have anything to do with Alberta. We want independence. I said, well, do you think you'll want to become the 51st state? And they said, no, it's not that we want to join the United States. I said, what about becoming a territory? No. We just want our independence. I said, God bless you. But anyway, news out of Alberta. Wait till you hear this. I'm just going to go ahead and play this and let you hear it for your own selves. And that's why, I'm here with the audio receipts. You can't pin it on me. It's not Dave said that. You're going to hear it directly from the horse's mouth. Now, this is a panel discussion that was going on up in Alberta having to do with child mortality. Of course, it wouldn't have anything to do whatsoever with the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy. Okay, here's the panel in Alberta.
Most people would do it at the beginning of an event, but given that our event was about answering a question, and that question was, who can explain, or why can we explain the amount of unexplained deaths in Alberta children? And yesterday I had indicated that I made a mistake, that the number of unexplained deaths was not 350% as we had stated. It's actually 3,328%.
Okay, I'm going to pause that right now. Did you hear what he said? The mortality rate for children, they originally thought it was 320%. No. It's up 3,328%. Let that sink in.
And so I apologize for the mistake, but it was we couldn't believe it when we did it, and I made a mistake with the decimal point. So it's actually 3,328%. Now someone says, Daryl, you made that number up. I did not make that number up. I wish I did. That number comes from AHS data, to which we have posted on our website at injectionoftruth.ca. Most people would do
Okay. And let me see. What was that website? It was... and injection, what is that? Injection, I can't quite make out the letters there. And injection of truth. Okay, that's what it is. And, A-N-D, injection of truth dot C-O, I think it is. Yeah.
Injectionoftruth.ca.
Yeah, .ca, excuse me, .ca. And injectionoftruth.ca. I'm going to pull that website up because I got obviously going to have some very volatile information. You folks north of the border, have you heard about this? I mean, that's 3,328% increase in mortality, child mortality. That's not something that you want to ignore. That's some pretty damning information. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah. Did you hear about Macron, Starmer, and Mertz were caught on video? They were returning from Kiev on one of Zelensky's one of his trains, and on video, there's a bag of white powder and a cocaine spoon. Have you seen this video? This is incredible. I mean, you could see Macron, they sit down at the table, and there's this little white baggie, and Macron very carefully and indiscreet, he tried to be very discreet about it. He grabs that little white bag and puts it in his hand and tries to, distract away from it. And then he sticks it in his pocket. Meanwhile, I forget which it was. I think it was Starmer. There was a little cocaine spoon on the desk as well. And he grabs that. I mean, this is, my gosh, rules for thee and not rules for thee and not for me. Unbelievable. Anyway, yeah, it's all over the internet now. Anyway, I'm just all over the map. There's just so much stuff to talk about. Let me see. Okay, Israel. Oh gosh, Bibi Netanyahu is pretty ticked off right now because apparently Trump got a little bit sideways. He wanted to talk with Saudi Arabia. Netanyahu got an attitude about it, and Trump cut off communication with Bibi. And then Trump worked out a hostage release of one of the American hostages by Hamas, and Bibi didn't like that either. And I guess that as we speak, Trump is going to be heading over to Saudi Arabia to try to work out some sort of a peace deal. Bibi didn't like that either. And meanwhile, more and more Americans are starting to wake up to the idea that, Bibi Netanyahu is not necessarily our friend. Let me see. Max Blumenthal made the following statement. Let me see if I can pull this one up here. Max Blumenthal, he's Jewish. He's very well-known journalist. Of course, a lot of you have heard of Max Blumenthal. Here's what he had to say.
Of course, war is horrible, so why did the Palestinians initiate this war on October 7th?
Okay, the question is, why did the Palestinians initiate the war on October 7th? Here's his response.
Well, they didn't. They didn't. This war has been going on for 75 years. Israel initiated it in 1948 by ethnically cleansing 750,000 people. This is what you need to understand. The people in Gaza, over 80% of them are refugees from a place called Majdal Asqalon in what is now southern Israel, in a city called Ashkelon. And they were dragged from their homes and driven from their homes, placed in prison camps, barbed wire prison camps, and then dumped in trucks in 1950 into the Gaza Strip where they would be permanently warehoused. And then Israel proceeded to move Jewish refugees and Russians into Ashkelon to prevent them from ever coming back. So this didn't come out of a vacuum. You're not going to be able to hold people under siege, cut them off from the world, and then expect them to just play along.
Yeah. And this has been going on for a long time. And again, I will draw your attention to a documentary film you can find on Rumble. And that documentary is, you can just type in a search, Hamas October 7 attack on Israel was 100% an inside job. All right, you can take a look at that. And it's got all kinds of interviews with former IDF soldiers and pilots and people in security. And this is not, some wacko conspiracy theorists screaming about that. These are real people, real individuals from Israel in the military, basically explaining what happened on October 7th. And it certainly was not what the mainstream media told you. Let me see. There's another one here. As a matter of fact, even Matt Getz, they're starting to question the motives of Israel. They're starting to realize that, yes, the powerful Israel lobby has been determining foreign policy for the United States for some time. And so this is part of the great noticing that's going on all over the world. And again, this is Matt Getz. Matt Getz, come on now. It's going mainstream, folks.
If I want to get into government, do I have to support Israel?
Okay, that's the question. If I want to get into government, do I have to support Israel? Here's Matt Getz's response.
The Israel lobby has an incredible power over the decisions that government makes. And what we've seen is on the left or on the right, if you question the policies of the Israeli government, legitimately, people will accuse you of anti-Semitism. And that is weird and wrong and kind of unlike anything else we see anywhere else. Now, there are legitimate expressions of concern regarding the anti-Semitism that we see on college campuses. But I got to tell you, no one's asked me the question that directly. And the truth is, if you oppose the U.S.-Israel relationship, you face tremendous headwinds to get into government, not just appointed government, but elected government as well. Dude, it's moving. And
what is
the thing? It's
he sort of stumbles on that, because he was starting to go down a particular path that might not be so politically advantageous for him. But across the world, people are starting to realize that. Here in the United States, people are starting to say, wait a second. How is it that we give Israel more than $10 million every day? $10 million every day. Israel has free health care and free college, but the United States can't afford it? Now, this is, like I said, people are starting to actually take notice. They're starting to realize this. Now, again, this has got nothing to do with hating Jews. It's got nothing to do with that. What it does have to do is the Israeli foreign policy. Now, there's a big difference between Judaism and Zionism, and there's still a lot of people that just don't get it. They don't understand that. But let me see. There's listen to this clip. Now, this was on CNN. This is mainstream, folks. This is the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. Now let that sink in. Listen to what he has to say about Israel. Again, this is not anti-Semitism, folks. This is reality. Here's Ehud Olmert, former Israeli Prime Minister, on CNN.
I will say it. The real enemy that we have is not Iran, which is an enemy. It's not Hezbollah, which is an enemy. It's not Hamas, which is an enemy. The real enemy is from within. The messianic, crazy, extreme groups of Israelis that think that they can kick out the Palestinians and annex the territories. I'm fighting against them, I'm campaigning against them, and I think that this is incumbent upon the Israeli government and Netanyahu. Unfortunately, Netanyahu depends on them politically to the extent that he closes his eyes and he allows them to do things which are totally intolerable and unacceptable.
Yep. So Bibi Netanyahu is being exposed for what he is. And more people, like I said, more and more people across the board are noticing this. Now, unfortunately, I have a friend of mine who just does not want to understand the idea that the Israeli government could possibly be corrupt. If you don't stand for Israel, then you're an anti-God person. No, not at all. But, I mean, there are Jews across the world that are waking up. Now, here's a woman who's, let me see, who is this? Let me see. This was posted by a guy named Carrie Burgess. But anyway, this is a Jewish woman expressing her feeling on the subject. Here it is.
Tell me how you do it. How do you sleep at night? How do you rest your head on that pillow and close your eyes? How do you not see the starving children? How do you justify it? It's not self-defense. It never was. It was about a canal. It was about real estate. It was about oil. And now that you know that, now that all of the information is out there, are you just actually like taking the blinders and putting them on? Like, what are you doing? I'm Jewish, so can't wait for that in the comments. And on this lovely evening of Shabbat, we should remember that we were all taught tikkun olam, which means repair the world. How is this repairing the world? How do you not see the evil in this? I don't get it. Like, what went wrong for you? Who hurt you? Seriously.
Now, why is it? Why is it that so many people have put their blinders on? They just don't, are they afraid that might be called an anti-Semite if you stand up against Israel? if you stand against a corrupt political regime? How is it that, good Christians out there, they don't want to acknowledge Revelation 2:3 or 3, Revelation 2:3 or 3, is it? I'm confused. But that says there are those who claim to be Jews and they are not. They're imposters. What does that mean? Well, you can't talk about that to some people. I don't understand that. But it is what it is. And hopefully, as time goes on, people will start to understand exactly, what's been going on right under their noses all this time. Now, why don't we hear about this? Now, this is because our journalism is dead. You may have heard in that last post there that there are those that just don't want to talk about it. Okay, they don't want to talk about the Ben Gurion Canal, which plans were drawn up in the year 2000, 25 years ago. The Ben Gurion Canal. They want to build a canal that goes right through Gaza. Of course, before they do that, they got to clear Gaza. That wouldn't have anything to do with the ethnic cleansing, would it? How about the nearly $500 billion? I think the estimates were $480-something billion worth of oil and gas deposits underneath the Gaza Strip and just offshore. Of course, the oil and gas wouldn't have anything to do with it, would it? No, they wouldn't do that. But you don't hear about that on the mainstream media. Why? Because the mainstream media is also controlled by the same forces that are trying to pull this crap. Here's Laura Logan, and she was speaking out. Laura Logan speaks out about a lot of stuff. But this is kind of important because this is why the mainstream media, I have nothing but contempt for the mainstream. And that includes Newsmax. You hear me, Newsmax? You hear me, Real America's Voice? You hear me, OAN? You hear me, Right Side Broadcast Network? News Nation? All of you, every doggone one of you, you're covering. You're not telling the truth. And the truth isn't ultimate. You can't have most of the truth. It's either the truth or it isn't. It's like pregnancy. You can't be mostly pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And the same thing can be said about the truth. It's either the truth or it isn't. You can't have 80% truth or 90% truth. Anyway, here's Laura Logan.
We live in the age of information warfare, where propaganda is not simply a weapon, it is the entire field of battle. This is a war for our minds that is aided by advanced technology, and we have never been here, not in all of human history. It is a moment when we as journalists should stand together, united, and regardless of politics, we should fight for the truth, and we should fight for freedom. Yet, not very long ago, we allowed one of our own, Tucker Carlson, to be branded as a traitor simply for doing his job. In fact, there were many so-called journalists who were leading the charge against Tucker, accusing him of treason for the simple fact of interviewing the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. And to my knowledge, there was not a single legacy media institution that spoke up.
There you go. That's just the beginning. I mean, she just kicks the doors in on that. Unbelievable. Anyway, I'm going to keep on banging the drum here. Hopefully the mainstream media will one day open up and rediscover what truth is all about, instead of manipulating and massaging and creating facts that they want to shove down a collective throat of Americans and the rest of the world. All right, that said, that's going to wrap it up for today's Monday broadcast. If you're appreciating the WTF reports, please share it. If you're listening on Rumble or YouTube or BitChute, please like, share, and subscribe. That's how we grow. That said, we're out of here. I'll be back tomorrow with more of the news they hope and pray you never hear. I'm Dave vonKleist. These are the WTF reports. God bless you all. Stay free, stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.